How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, we are still learning more about coronavirus. And yeah, I know some people looking at that title like, is that for real? Yes, it is. I have an article and a few videos to present to the royal family. And, you know, they are so on a rush to get some type of vaccine out that a lot of things are still unfolding about coronavirus. And so we're going to focus on coronavirus being possibly sexually transmitted. And so they have found it in men's semen. So I'm going to read this article first, and then we'll get into these videos. So here, get this presented. And I will pin this because somebody might want to read it later at their leisure if I don't forget to pin it. So, coronavirus found in infected men's semen. After the new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2 entered the human body, it seems to reach sites well beyond the lungs. It has been found in kidneys, heart, liver, and the gastrointestinal tract. And now researchers have detected the virus in semen, according to a small study. However, the finding published Tuesday, May 7th in JAMA, that's an American journal, Open Network, don't necessarily mean that the virus can be sexually transmitted through contact with semen. Oh, we shall see, because I did my research. So they had a study involved of 38 men in China who had tested positive for corona, or let's say COVID-19, and were experiencing symptoms of the disease or had recently recovered. The participants provided semen samples, which doctors analyzed for the presence of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. The researchers detected SARS and CoV-2 in the sperm of 6 patients, or 16% of the overall. Those 4 patients were currently experiencing symptoms of COVID-19, and 2 patients had recently recovered. So the COVID in the U.S. map and causes, which are coronavirus symptoms. How long does a coronavirus last on surface? How does coronavirus compare with seasonal flu? Can people spread the coronavirus after they recover? However, it is important to note that although the research detected genetic materials of SARS-CoV-2 in semen, the study does not prove the semen virus particles are capable of transmitting infections, according to the New York Times. Well, people contradict themselves. This is an interesting finding, but it must be confirmed that there is an infectious virus, not just a virus product in semen. Dr. Stanley Perlman, a professor of microbiology and immunology and pediatrics of the University of Iowa, who was not involved in the study, told the Times. In addition, it's unclear how long the virus lingered in semen, given the participants in the study were still showing symptoms of COVID-19 or had only recently recovered. The two recovered patients whose semen samples tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 had only been well for 2 or 3 days before they were given the sample. What's more, other studies have not detected the virus among patients who had been recovered for a longer time. For example, a study published on April 17th, again, April 17th, in the journal Fertility and Sterility, which involved 34 men in Wuhan, China, failed to detect the virus in the patients about 1 month after COVID-19 diagnosis. Transmission of COVID-19 during sex still seemed much more likely, though close contact, inhaling respiratory droplets rather than through semen. Okay, so some people in the medical industry agree and some totally disagree. So we're going to go on this journey with these videos and let's see what's really going on. So I have here coronavirus found in the semen of COVID-19 survivors, sexually transmitted, unclear study. Okay, we shall see.
You about another study, a different study entirely that's coming out of China that found that the COVID-19 virus could be found in the semen of infected men. Does that mean that this might be a sexually transmitted disease as well?
Yes. I'm glad you asked me that question because that's been of significant interest because let me start by saying immunologically, there are privileged sites in the body that are not readily attacked by the immune system. One of those areas is the inner portion of the eyeball, the thyroid gland, the ovary, and of course the testicle. These are called immunologic privileged sites. So it would stand to reason that the virus could reside there without being destroyed by the immune system necessarily for some period of time. That being said, it's possible that sexual intercourse may actually result in transmission of the virus. And I'm trying to get data on the patient's age and how long they have had the disease. Does this virus stay in the semen for a prolonged period of time, say a week, 2 weeks, 2 months? We simply don't know. The Chinese did the study on 38 patients, and only 7 of them were noted to have the virus in the semen. But 7 out of 38 is a fairly large number. So if we extrapolate that to several hundred people, it may be quite significant. So we have to worry about that. Again, the testicle is a privileged immunologic site, as is the ovary and other parts of the body. That in itself has been very interesting. But in the presence of this particular pandemic, it's extraordinarily important to know that.
Dr. Lahita, thank you so much. As always, you provide such sound information, important information for our viewers and for ourselves. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Be well.
Thanks, Vlad, and thanks, Anne-Marie.
Well, my radio family, even though in some areas, like I said, they're downplaying it, and in some are saying, hey, this is serious. And one thing I have learned when it comes to men's health, it's just, what it is in America. It's not a put down to any males. The concern is more heightened. And let's not forget, because, you can get cluttered in this stuff about coronavirus, is that when everything initially first came out, they were saying males 60 plus were, getting it mainly. Now, more black people getting it, more Mexicans getting it, more Puerto Ricans getting it, more natives getting it. So it becomes a clusterfuck after a while. You don't know if you're going or coming when you hear about coronavirus. But even though they saying this is a small study, they concern. And one thing that I can say about coronavirus, when I called it the vapors, it rings even more true. When I say this coronavirus has touched every orifice on the planet, I never thought that it would linger in a man's semen attached to it, let alone this being a possible sexually transmitted disease as we continue on.
Researchers say the virus has appeared in the semen of men who have recovered. And so the question is coronavirus something that can actually spread through sex?
Rick, this is not a surprising finding. We've seen this with Zika, with Ebola, with many different viruses that they can live in the reproductive tract. And this can be for months after a male patient has recovered. So we've seen this before. This should not be terribly surprising. The reason that this is really going to be important is because this happens after long, this can persist long after people are recovered. So then it becomes not just an issue of respiratory transmission, but sexual transmission. The big question is, however, is finding the virus or finding evidence of the virus in semen is one thing, but whether or not it's actually infectious and can be transmittable in this route is the next thing that we actually have to understand. So this is just another example of we are learning about this virus on a daily basis, and this will definitely inform policy going forward. So in the absence of understanding how this will be infectious, it's important for people to know that they should be practicing abstinence or safe sex after being sick. And we learned this with Zika, we learned this with Ebola. This is not new news in general for a virus.
All right.
Some of these
let me cut this down. All right, well, she spoke. She said what she had to say. This is not new. Now, see, this is new to me. We heard about SARS, MARS, Zika, and all these different things, but I didn't know, so that's why I present things that even interest me. If y'all were putting up this particular video, I'd be on the edge of my seat like, damn. So this is something else to be concerned about. So this last video that I'm going to show, what I like about this last video, it gives us a picture how all this stuff works. When they using these medical terms and stuff, and give us a better picture and understand how this, attached to our cells, to our bodies and everything. So let's get into this next video.
Latest research published by Chinese scientists say coronavirus will render most male patients infertile. A latest coronavirus research by medical scientists from Nanjing Medical University and Suzhou Hospital led by Dr. Jianqing Wang, head of the Department of Urology at Suzhou Hospital, say that males affected by the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, which causes the COVID-19 disease, will likely become infertile even if they recover from the infection. According to the new research published in MedRxiv, an open-source online medical journal, the coronavirus typically attacks the ACE2 angiotensin-converting enzyme 2 receptors in human tissues. The team of urology researchers that comprised of Dr. Jianqing Wang, Dr. Kaiban Fan, Dr. Kai Li, Dr. Yanhong Ding and Dr. Wei Lu focused primarily on renal and testicular tissues, as these were also rich with ACE2 receptors, especially the renal tubular cells, Leydig cells and cells in seminiferous ducts in the testis. The study results showed that the new coronavirus expressed potent pathogenicity to both renal and testicular tissues with resultant lesions. The damaged testicular tissues could lead to infertility in most of the male patients. The researchers advised that during drug treatments with coronavirus-infected patients, clinicians should pay careful attention to renal function evaluation, as some of the antivirals which known to exhibit renal toxicity can aggravate the and virus-damaged kidneys. The researchers also advised that all clinicians pay attention to the risk of testicular lesions in patients during hospitalization and later clinical follow-ups, especially the assessment and appropriate intervention in male patients' fertility. The research was based on the datasets of 146 male patients in 3 different settings. Thailand Medical News notes that the research has yet to have been peer-reviewed. However, the results on this research could have large implications and effect on the thousands of male patients infected with the coronavirus.
Amazing. Ain't that amazing, my royal family? I know I'm going to be looking even deeper into this, because that is pretty deep. And we see just in this video alone, they have studied even more. So there's more males that have been tested for this, and they're concerned about this. But there's the energy that I pick up is some things are holding back because they're more concerned with getting a vaccine because they're ready to make money. We're not even allowed here on the world of YouTube to talk about the homeopathic way of dealing with coronavirus. We can't even mention certain vitamins or anything, which that's not going to stop anybody that's seeking. I and others are studying, different things that we can take to help our family, but still, if anybody that are on this channel and get coronavirus, I know, like when they were talking about, the failure of the kidneys and all that kind of stuff, I know what to take for that too as well. This basically, how I look at all of this, it has me personally motivated me eating better, making sure I take in the right, correct fluids, staying away from refined sugars and all of this. And it's amazing, coronavirus has affected people's brain, lungs. Some people have literally had strokes or they talk about underlying health issues. Some people didn't have any of this, but they got coronavirus. And this is one of the lingering effects when they unquote have recovered. And one thing Western medicine is good for, they're good for trauma, patching you back up, but they're not good in the long term of maintaining your life. That's when you got to get into the homeopathic, because that's all about eating correctly and all of that. It's not just the minerals or the herbs that you take. It's just a way of life that we incorporate certain nutrients in our life that we're not feeding the tongue, we're feeding the body, giving the body actually what it needs, because those things that we know, and I'm guilty of it too, that we want to eat, but we know that it ain't no good. We're just satisfying our tongue, but is that overall helping the body? And it made me think about one more thing before I close out. My father was in the field of doing homeopathic medicine, and he would do lectures. And I remember in Oakland, he would have an annual health show. And I like how he set it up, because it would last for 3 days. And they would have different people throughout the United States, black-owned businesses that dealt in this field. And this one brother talked about how if you're not taking care of your sexual organs, how it would fail you. And so all these young men run into his class because, they want to hear about sex. And then you should have seen how straight up they were, because they were letting young men know, and young ladies too, but he was being pacific at that time, talking about letting young men know that if you continue to eat this junk food and this BS that they pumping out here, that will affect your sexual organs and everything, and that it's not unusual in these day and times to have a male in his mid-20s and he's sexually at his peak and he's taking Viagra, he's impotent. And it all has a lot to do with this Western diet that we have here in America. There's just no way that you have a 20-something-year-old man having that problems, where there was a space and time, even in this country, it wasn't unusual for a man in his 70s still having children, because he's eating off of the farm, not eating that BS. So when you are taking care, basically what I'm trying to say is, when you are taking care of your overall health, you got to also remember that your sexual organs, this goes for males and females, you got to make sure that you are giving your sexual organs the proper nutrients. Are you going to end up impotent? Are women going to end up frigid where they ain't interested in sex no more because those refined sugars and all that other crap you eating, you lost interest in it? You know, you getting more of a pleasure eating food that's not conducive to your body, let alone your sexual organs. I know I'm going on and on, my royal family, but it is what it is. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.